Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. My name is Janine McGowan, and I design cross stitch as the blue flower. It's a beautiful 1st of June here, a lovely day in northern Nevada. And after I finish this, I'm gonna get outside and do a little bit of yard work before it gets too hot, but I'm excited that I get to share this time with you. So, jumping right into stitching in action, we have a super fun finish this time. Melanie stitched up Tudoe and she used that as her base design. She added her initials on the side to make it a better fit, and then she finished it as an insert into like a little concert bag or party bag, you know, the little tiny bag that you take to an event with just the essentials in it. And I love it. What a great idea. I've never seen a finish like this, so thank you so much, Melanie, for sharing. And I might be wandering off later to learn more about how to do this sort of finish and what the bag finish options are. So thank you again, Melanie, for sending that through. I love it. All right, what I'm stitching. I have personal stitching. I feel like I should have a celebration, but I am almost done with the Things of Spring from Posie, and I just have to finish the boots, do this element here and the teacup, and that's it. And then I can go on to Things of Summer. I didn't quite finish spring before the end of May, but that's okay. It'll still be great to work on this summer, and hopefully I'll be a little bit more caught up and I will get it finished a little more quickly. I did learn one thing stitching these designs. They use a lot of floss. Not a lot of each color, but a ton of different colors. And for the first one, I pulled all of the colors at once, which means I have these huge rings of floss that I'm working through. And I think when I do the next one, I'll just pull what I need for each element or, you know, small group of elements and go from there, because all of my floss is in this project bag. But it's been really, really fun to work on. All right, stash spotlight. This time, something very humble but useful. I know it's not winter when I usually complain about dry hands, but because of all the yard work, my hands have really been suffering. And so I wanted to share the one thing that I use all the time for hand care. And probably like all of you, I have gone through every stitching cream you can imagine. This is the winner for us in our house. We have these everywhere in the house. I love them. It's, I don't know how to say it, Eucerin, Advanced Repair Cream. It comes in these tubs, and yeah, they're everywhere. But it's been a lifesaver for me, because especially in the desert, your hands get so dry and cracked, and then it's hard to stitch, and they're always catching on things. And so that's an essential part of my stitching tools. So for what it's worth, that's what we use, and it really works for us. On to World Around. We have a particular plant in the garden. It's a native penstemon, and I can't remember which one exactly, but it's one of the oldest plants in our vegetable garden. It's in the garden beds. So it's one of the earliest that comes up, which means it is already, you know, well into blooming, possibly heading towards done. And I was out there the other day looking at it. The flowers are this beautiful blue color, and I was watching the bees that were in there, and honestly other things. I don't know if we have more native pollinators because we've been planting more native plants, or whether they've always been there and I'm just more aware of them. But I was noticing these bees that I wasn't very familiar with, so I looked them up, and I didn't get a photo of them in there, but I've got a different photo for you here. These are blue mason bees, or blue orchard mason bees, and the reason for the name is they're called mason bees because they form their nests using mud or clay to make them sealed up, and that makes sense. They're called orchard bees because they're apparently extremely good at pollinating fruit trees. They're in fact one of the few native pollinators that are actually commercially managed, because they're so much better and more efficient at pollinating fruit trees even than, say, the European honeybees are. And so I got to dive down the rabbit hole and learn a little bit about them. They're very striking. They have this dark iridescent blue color, and depending on whether they're male or female, they can have a little bit of a tuft of lighter fur on their head. They carry pollen on their bellies, not on their legs. So even though they're having a wonderful time in the plants, you don't see those big yellow pollen balls on their back legs the way you do with bees. They each build their own nest, so they're solitary like most native bees, but they like to be in proximity. So if you're ever at the nursery and you see mason bee houses and there are a lot of little tubes together in one small area, that's how they like to be. They're very good with being around each other, and they just each make up their own space. And I'm seeing them come out. They've just hatched, they're mature, they're looking to mate and gather pollen and build the nests. And the way that they do it is that they gather all of this pollen, nectar, and then the female uses spit to form it into a nice big ball. And so she will nest in a tube. You'll see the mason bee houses, they look like tubes. Go back into the back, seal it all up with the mud or clay, leave the pollen ball there, lay an egg, and then make a partition with mud or clay, put in another pollen ball, another egg, partition, and so those eggs will hatch. The bees will go through their almost entire life cycle in their little partition, their little one bee apartment, and they'll stay there through the entirety of the rest of the year, feeding off their food source, growing up, and then in the following spring they'll emerge and be ready to start the cycle all over again. I also learned that the males, or the eggs that are at the front of the tube, the ones that emerge first, are males, partly because they need to get more time to get ready for mating, and partly because if there's predation in the nest, the males are more easily sacrificed to keep, because the females are the ones that you have to have, and there tend to be more males than females. So the males are a little bit of cannon fodder, I hate to say, but I thought it was so interesting. I had no idea that there are these tubes of mason bees living all through the summer that I don't see, just continuing through their life cycle by themselves, but potentially in a group of very close together mason bees or orchard bees. So yeah, I really enjoy learning about those, and I will enjoy seeing them for the rest of the time that they have before they all seal up, and maybe we'll get a mason bee house going in our yard. We could certainly use that. All right, questions. Last video I asked what you were up to this weekend. Lots of fun answers. This video, it's a little bit different. I wanted to ask how you feel about baby showers, and it's because I'm going to one this afternoon, and they are typically something that's really tough for me, because there's all the pressure of navigating social situations, usually with a bunch of people I don't know, so that's really hard for me. And then they tend to do all these activities that just throw all of the normal social interactions out the window. And so I feel like I'm just trying to navigate on a very shifting set of rules the entire time that I'm there. And so as much as they're so important and I want to support people, they are an activity that for me is traditionally very tricky and stressful. And yeah, I just wondered if I was alone in that, or if it's just me, if it's something that other people experience. I know a lot of people love them. Everybody's different, so there's that. But I was just curious. All right, on to best thing. We are through Memorial Day. The snow is off of Peavine, so we're clear to plant whatever we want to plant. And all those seeds that I planted early no longer have to be protected. We can pretty much go nuts in the garden. So that's a nice feeling. Not that it stopped me, mind you, from planting things before, but at least now I feel like it's officially sanctioned, which is nice. Okay, giveaway. Last video we had these lovely silk threads from Gloriana with the beautiful nature names. Let's see, I'm getting older, I have to hold things further away. Daffodil, Blue Lilac, and Virginia Pine. To use the word nature in your comments. And the winner is Shard J57. And I know it can be a little weird. I wish I had people's actual names, but all I have to call out is the Instagram handle, or I guess the YouTube handle. Anyway, thank you so much for participating, Shar. I hope you enjoy these. This video, the giveaway, is this beautiful, and I'm going to say it wrong, but Julie Godefroid. This is a design from Simone at Atelier Soed Idee, and I think it was 2 markets ago. Her suite was right across from mine, and so I got to see the models in person. It's beautiful. And it's this whole set of lovely blue and brown. I love the color palette designs, big ones, small ones. So something for everyone in this book. If you'd like to win, use the word blue in your comments, and we'll pick one for the next video. Announcements. I will be attending 2 events in person this fall, the 2 that I'd already committed to. And the first off is the Northwest Stitchers. If you look up on Facebook, Northwest Stitchers, and I think it says in the title that it used to be Northwest Prim Stitchers. That's in Montana in September, and then I will be at Shepherd's Needle in October. I just got the model back for the September event. I love it. I'm very excited to share that. And I just sent out the model for the October event. I'll do the newsletter this weekend, and so I'll have more information on those as well, and potentially 1 or 2 sneak peeks. So that's actually it for me. Like I said, I'm very casual this morning. I'm gonna go do a little bit of yard work and then get ready to go to a baby shower and celebrate somebody I know who is very excited about her new baby. And I look forward to that part of it. But I hope you have a lovely weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. There's a brief puppy video at the end, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks. Bye.